Hi everyone, it's Adam here again, and I want to talk to you today about lower back pain and some postures that are yoga based that may help you relieve that pain. A lot of times, lower back pain is caused by tightness in certain muscles in the back, and this happens because most days, people nowadays sit in chairs a lot and we slump. So our lower back is rounded. This also tightens up the hip flexors because I'm in hip flexion here, so my hip flexors are just not stretching out. Now, we also, we sit at our desks and we slump. We sit in our car and we slump. We come home, we sit on the couch and we slump. And I would much rather have my students, my clients, sit against the couch with their back to the couch in a cross-legged position, much better for your back. But this is actually the first posture that I want to talk to you about today, and this is what we call Sukhasana or Siddhasana. Sukhasana would be here with the legs crossed. I'm bringing one heel in front of the other. And if my knees are up in the air, it means my hips are pretty tight. You don't have to have your knees on the floor like I do, but you do want to be able to sit here comfortably with a straight spine. And if you can't sit comfortably with a straight spine and you're rounding and crunching, then take something, a cushion or a pillow, or if you have a yoga block, and place that underneath your bum, and that will help you sit straight. Because now what I want you to do is to fold forward and relax here. And I can feel already one side is tighter than the other. And I'm just going to sit here for maybe 30 seconds to a minute and allow these muscles to release back here. Right now, I'm getting into the outside of the hip and the outside of the thighs here, my TFL, my gluteus medius, gluteus maximus even, and I'm just folding in here and releasing even a little bit into my piriformis back there. Okay, and then after 30 seconds to a minute, we'll switch sides or put the other foot in front. And again, doesn't matter if your knees are up here, you can still relax down. Okay, but I want you to pay attention now as we've switched sides. Does it feel different on this side? Do I feel the same on this side here as I did when I had my other foot forward? And if you can fold all the way down, great, but that's not your goal. Your goal is to tip your pelvis forward and relax forward and just be here and hang out and not try to do more. Okay, normally doing more of something is how you get the lower back pain, so don't try to do more, okay? And then the second posture we'll have you do is to lie down on your back and kick one leg straight down on the floor and hug the other knee into the chest. Now, hugging the knee into the chest here starts to release my glutes. And again, I want to make sure that both sides are even. So, for example, if my right side is tight, what may happen is my pelvis will tip backwards as I pull my knee in, and you can see my other leg coming off the floor. I don't want that. So I will only go as far as I can, bringing this knee toward my chest, but I need to keep my back leg, the other leg down. Then I'll switch sides, and this side might come in a little further. You may have more range of motion on this side. So we'll stay here for a bit, again 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'll go back to the tight side again. Okay, so I'll do the tighter side twice. Start with it and then do it at the end again. And this so that you can get a little bit more into one side than the other. Okay, now the next one I'm going to have you do is a spinal twist. And you're going to plant both feet. I'm going to turn here so you can see me easier. I'm going to plant both feet flat. I'll now cross one knee over the other knee. And I'm not crossing my ankle over like I'm sitting on the couch. I'm crossing my knee over my knee. I'm going to lift up my leg so this top knee is pointing straight to the ceiling. So my left knee, right? Putting my right hand, opposite hand on top, and then dropping this knee down towards the floor. I want to look at my top hip here and see that I have a 90-degree bend in my hip. I'll allow my shoulders to lie down on the floor, and I don't necessarily want my knee on the floor. I won't have my knee on the floor and my shoulder in the air. I'll have both shoulders down and my knee in the air, and I want to make certain that I have that 90-degree bend, that perpendicular angle, okay? Perpendicular angle from my spine to my top thigh. My other leg, the knee, is resting on top of this one. And I'm just relaxing in here, and really this is just a preparation for the next posture. So again, I'll come back up and I'll switch sides, and the knee on top, not the ankle but the knee. I lift up the legs, and then opposite hand on, drops them down 90 degrees to the far side, keeping both shoulders down. I could take this other leg and straighten it over as long as my knees stay together, if I have that range of motion. Again, my goal is not to go further. My goal is to relax here and let the weight of my legs just drop me into a gentle spinal twist in a natural movement, a natural sensation. I don't want to force myself in. So if you ever go to a yoga class where a teacher is leaning on you and forcing you further down, that is really bad for you. Your body will respond to that in something that is called a stretch reflex. Let's come on out. And the stretch reflex will rebound you eventually out of that. So you will tighten up after that. You don't want someone leaning on you. Now, the next posture, I have a strap or a belt that will assist me with this one. And I'm going to lie down like I just did, but my legs are straight. And I'll take my strap around one foot and kick it up into the air. So here's my hamstring release. Now if my hamstrings are tight, that's going to pull on my pelvis. That's going to give me back pain. And many people have tight hamstrings. I want to draw the toes down. And if I have the range of motion, don't need a belt, I can just lie here like this, and that's fine. But I believe that if you have that range of motion, your hamstrings would not be contributing to your back pain. So here I am with my hamstrings lying down. Okay, now I'm going to drop this foot with my opposite hand all the way across to this side. If you don't need a belt or a strap, you can just take the foot in your hand. And now my legs are at 90 degrees from each other. I'm going to do the same thing, keep my shoulder down. Now, you don't want to be in a back bend here. This might be uncomfortable. So you can shift your hips, your bum back away from this top foot a little bit. Or you can take this other leg and bend the knee a bit. Okay, bring it towards this top leg. And that will help your pelvis neutralize and your lower back straighten. Now I'm getting into the outside of this hip, the outside of these hamstrings here, particularly, again, outer glutes here, and my TFL, my tensor fascia lata, which goes down the outside of my leg and becomes a tendon called your IT band, or iliotibial band. Okay, you can't stretch your iliotibial band, you can't stretch your IT band, it's a tendon. But you can stretch the muscle that becomes that tendon. Okay, so here, I'm gently going to press my hip away if I need to. And this may be excruciating for you. Then I would suggest you back out and rest your foot on something. Okay, I'll stay here 30 seconds to a minute. Then, before I come back up, I'll bend that knee and then maybe pull it up with this hand. If you have back pain, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on that back by lifting a straight leg. Then I'll straighten out. Take my other foot up in the air, strap, towel, t-shirt, belt, whatever works, opposite hand maybe, and bring it all the way across. Again, I might shift my hips back a little bit or bend this other knee towards the foot that I'm holding. Shoulder comes down, and now I can feel all outside the hip here, outside my glutes, outside my hamstrings, and my tensor fascia lata is starting to release. Now, if you're an athlete and you play sports, particularly cycling or running, then these muscles will be tight. And it is really important to release them. If they become tight, they start to pull your knees open and your toes open. They start to externally rotate your legs. And when that happens, when something goes out, something else has to go in. And that, of course, is pinching your lower back. Okay, so I'll bend that knee now, Again, come on up, and once again, hug both knees into my chest, maybe crossing my ankles. Okay, so I've got into quite a bit in the outside of my hips, my lower back, and so on. Now we'll try one more here. So I'm going to roll up. I'm going to use my hands beneath my knees instead of straining to get up. And I might just rock one time, and then I'll kick my feet towards the other side of the room, and that will help pull me up. Now the next one can be done in different ways, and I'll show you a couple of options for this. I'm going to bring one knee to the inner thigh. I'm going to lean over to this side and maybe swing my leg back. Now, I could come to this from downward dog. It's called half pigeon. I'm bringing my knee wide. Okay, so essentially I want to end up in this position here. And as you can see, my front shin is not parallel to the front of my yoga mat. Let's say if I were on a yoga mat, I'm not pulling this foot forward. That's putting massive pressure on my knee. I'm going to keep my shin pointing back about 45 degrees. My heel is under this opposite hip here. I'm just going to slide this other leg back and then maybe drop down onto my elbows or all the way down. It doesn't really matter if your hip is on the floor back there, but what you can do is you can roll side to side a little bit and see how this affects your hip and where you feel this the most. And you're getting into a bunch of different angles and different muscles here as you roll side to side. Okay, now you may not be down as low as I am. I'm on the floor. So you may be up here and you may be leaning on a chair or a yoga block or something like that. And that's fine. Okay, if you don't have that range of motion, then I'll show you what you can do against the wall. But I have an alternative. This one here. I'm going to sit down here and cross one ankle over my knee. My ankle's on my knee, draw my toes up, and then planting this other foot, I'm going to try to scoot my bum forward towards my heel. Walk my hands here. It doesn't really matter so much if your back is rounding, but I do want you to try to reach your ribs forward. I'll show you this from a different angle. Okay, now you may be here, or you may be here, and that may be as far as you can go. How far you go doesn't matter. What does matter is that you are able to relax into this. Some of you, if you can scoot all the way into your foot and bring your rib cage and chest against your thigh, I would suggest that you do not need this, that you have plenty of range of motion, and this posture is not for you. Okay, now the last alternative that I will show you to those two postures is against the wall, and I would lie down. I'm going to do this at an angle, but you would face directly to the wall. I'm doing it at an angle so you can see it. And you place one foot up against the wall and cross the ankle over the knee like we just did, and then gently press this knee towards the wall. And we're getting into a similar posture here, and this is going to get again into the outside of the hips, the hamstrings, the thigh, a little bit more hippie this one, and then try to gently press away. Okay, I'll release, and then I can just roll to the side, come up to hands and knees. Okay, so those postures are of huge help. There are a couple more that I will show you that are a little bit more advanced. But this next one, I'm going to pull in a bench here. This next one is really great to release your back if you have the time. And what I'm going to do is have a chair with the seat that's about knee height, right? And I'm going to lie down on the floor, allow the backs of my legs, my calf muscles basically, to rest on the bench. And there's pressure now pushing down into my pelvis. My spine is supported by the floor, and I'm just going to lie here for maybe 30 minutes or so. Okay, now when I did this, and I had serious lower back issues where I would walk into teaching a kickboxing class bent over like an old man, and I did this for 30 minutes, it made me feel like a different person. So something else that you can do here. Good, so from here, I'm just going to roll off to the side, roll up to hands and knees, and then I can come up from there. So now I'm going to show you one more posture. It's a bit more challenging to get into. In fact, I'll show you a couple of them, a couple of alternatives. So the first one here is designed to release the thighs, and I'm really just sitting on my shins. I can walk my feet a bit wider, sitting between my heels. And if I do that, I really want to sit on something. So a rolled up towel, rolled up blanket, a yoga block or a Tupperware if you're at home and you don't have any yoga props with you. And then I'm going to lean back. And I'm not going to lean back to the floor as some people do in Virasana, hero pose in yoga. What I'm going to do is just lean back here, and so that I can feel a stretch in my thighs. Okay? If I go all the way down to the floor, I'm putting massive amounts of pressure on my lower back and massive amount of pressure on my knees, and I don't want that. So if I'm lying down here and I can't really feel anything, I don't feel my thighs stretching, then I need to take a little bit more advanced option. Okay? And I'll show you what that is right now. So this next option is not easy to get into, but if you can get into this, this will help release your thigh muscles. And one of your thigh muscles is a hip flexor. What tends to happen, particularly with people who practice yoga, they do a lot of forward folds and release the hamstrings a lot. So the hamstrings just open up a lot, but they don't do much for the thighs. And so we get this imbalance where the hamstrings are just really flexible and the thighs are really tight. And then if you work out, you do any kind of hiking or climbing or anything like that that really builds your thigh muscles, your quads, then you'll end up with tight quads and loose hamstrings, and that's not a good combination. We want the balance. So here I am. I'm going to come down. I'm going to be about one step in front of the wall. Put my hands on the floor. I can put one hand on my knee. I could put a hand on the wall for balance, or have a chair next to me. And I'm going to take my toes up the wall, drop my knee to the floor, and then I'm going to come up and sit next to my foot. Now I really want my knee touching the wall, and that's important so you don't hyperflex your ankle. We also don't want the foot to be twisted. We want the foot facing straight up, and it wants to be right next to your bum, not out to the side, and you don't want to sit on it. Okay? And as you come up slowly, you'll probably start to feel your thigh muscles start to release. Now, if you get to this point here and you can't go any further, I would suggest that your thigh muscles are really tight. Okay? And you really need to release them, because this could be causing you not just back pain, but knee pain as well. You could put a yoga block or a towel or something under your knee so it's soft to kneel on. You could put a towel between the wall and your foot if it's hurting your foot. But you do want to be able to come up within reason here. You don't need to, of course, have your lower back against the wall, but you do need to be somewhat upright. Okay? So if you have open hamstrings and you have tight quads, this is a great one to get into. Okay, so there are a few postures that you can do to help your lower back pain. And if you have any questions, you can just question me at the bottom of this. Subscribe to my channel, and I have a lot of short videos that will help you with various different things like this. Workout videos, yoga, tai chi, 2-minute sessions that are tutorials on specific postures, alignment, safety, things like that. How to get more out of your yoga practice if you're a yoga practitioner or yoga teacher. And what I'd really like to do is hear your comments and tell me about your lower back issues, because I suffered with them for 23 years. I had lower back pain. And eventually I just figured out I have to do something for myself. They won't operate on me, and I can't take painkillers for this all the time, obviously. And so here I am now, back pain free, and still working as a stuntman and active, riding horses, hiking, mountain biking, pretty much doing whatever I want to do, and I have no pain. Okay, and I did that for myself. The doctors didn't do that for me. So let me know how this goes, and I hope to see you again soon. Good luck with your back pain.